Good morning, this is Rich Nelson with Allendale. Special update for you guys. We have a brand new report from USDA, the monthly supply demand report. This one includes updated viewpoints on production here in the U.S., production around the world, as well as demand, and of course USDA's computation as far as what's left over at the end of the marketing year, in this case called ending stocks. Now these numbers as far as the report today on corn, for the most part, relatively right within the trade expectations. We did see USDA leave old crop stocks unchanged at 2.027 billion bushels. New crop was raised on the ending stock side from 1.552 billion to now 1.684 billion bushels. Just a little over the average trade guess. Now how they got to that? Well, they did raise yields a little more than the trade expected. We went from trend yield of 174 to now 178.4 bushels per acre. That would be a brand new record if it actually is seen here by the time harvest comes around. So in terms of this, this would be a bearish viewpoint. On the production side, we saw corn production raised by about 356 million bushels over last month's estimate. And much of that was offset, though, by rising demand. They raised demand for feed residual by about 100 million bushels. They also raised the new crop export estimate by about 125 million bushels. So on corn, 1.684 billion bushels for new crop stocks, maybe for the most part, not too bad at all. On the world side, as far as corn, we did see world stocks, in this case on the new crop side, revised up here from about 152 million bushels, 152 million tons, to about 155.5 million tons. As far as changes on this month's report, we actually did see some net declines in production from the non-U.S. participants, declines in Brazil's crop, South Africa, and the EU. That was partially offset by raises for the Eastern European areas here. For the most part, the trade will call this, though, a higher ending stock on the new crop side, and therefore a little bearish there. As far as that concerns, we're kind of looking at Brazil's export situation was lowered now by about 2 million tons from last month's report to now 29 million tons. Keep in mind, USDA has Brazil for last month at 23 million tons. Over on the soybean side, this is where the bearish discussion comes in. There's no doubt that USDA's movements here today were a little bearish, and some people are going to argue quite a bit about these numbers, so let's just go right into them off the bat. As far as old crop stocks, they were lowered from 465 million bushels last month to now 430. So lower old crop numbers here, and they did raise both crush and exports to make that happen. On the new crop side, though, the yields were raised up to 51.2 bushels an acre. So pretty strong increase there, a little higher than the average trade guess as well. The production increase was 276 million bushels over last month, and the USDA really didn't offset this much of this with demand. In fact, they only raised crush by 25 million bushels, only raised new crop exports by 20 million bushels in this case. So in the bottom line here, ending stocks going from 580 million bushels was the previous new crop guess, now 785 million bushels. You're not going to find an estimate like this in history for the month of August. So very big numbers, 785 million bushels posted for new crop stocks. As far as the discussion on the world end of things here, obviously we have an increase for the U.S. side, which was a concern. Almost no changes at all for the non-U.S. participants as far as production. Also of interest here, they left the Chinese numbers. Most of them were left unchanged. They did lower the crush estimate a little bit here, but really didn't touch the import side at 95 million tons. So according to USDA's view, we're going to see the import side, which was lowered on the old crop to 96 from 97. We'll see some new crop imports at 95. So that's the USDA viewpoint on soybeans. Definitely a bearish discussion there. As far as wheat end of things here, we've got a note. Maybe there's some arguments on some of these numbers here. Old crop was left, of course, unchanged at 1.1 billion bushels. As a reminder, wheat's old crop marketing year did end on May 31st. Over on the new crop side, they did lower the production a little bit there, about 4 million bushels. Not going to get the trade's interest too much from this one. As far as the other numbers, they did raise the food use guess by about 5 million bushels. They also did some minor movements in other areas. down 10 for the feed residual. One which they're going to receive a lot of flack on is going to be the new crop wheat estimate as far as exports. That was raised by 50 million bushels in just this report. Keep in mind, we certainly have some serious concerns about the already far behind needed sales to meet USDA's already previous guess, and that was just raised. So it's definitely a great conversation, discussion in this industry about lower production, about lower non-U.S. production. These are all very valid arguments. The one big concern we have for us is so far there's no sign yet of anybody turning to the U.S. market as a following place to buy some food as far as those wheat stocks there. On the non-U.S. numbers, we did see some pretty aggressive changes. European Union was lowered by 7.5 million tons to now 137.5. Keep in mind, last year's harvest was 151.7. So some sharp declines in production from the European Union. As far as some other areas, USDA actually did raise both the Russian wheat crop as well as the Kazakh wheat crop as well. So on the wheat end of things here, no doubt about it here, the trade was a little shocked at some of the numbers from the U.S. side. As far as the non-U.S. numbers, though, they do seem relatively reasonable. So we're going to call this report on corn neutral. Soybeans, you could probably bearish. Some people might suggest sharply bearish. And over on the wheat side, numbers did see a decline on the U.S. side for stocks, but the real focus would be on those new crop wheat exports to see if actually we do hit USDA's aggressive hope right now. Any questions about this report, marketing, or markets in general, give Allendale a call, 1-800-262-7538.